collaborative environmental management. The objective of that is at an airport for all the stakeholders at an airport to collaborate together to reduce noise and gaseous emissions. It expands out further to the community, because once they collaborate inside the airport, then they need to talk to the people outside who they need to collaborate and explain to, and that's where many of you might come in and be interested in what's going on. So what's important there, as you'll see on the next slide, is that the airports, the partners there are talking to each other, they're understanding the impact of the operations at the airport. And when they're all together in one group, they have maybe a focal point or focal group, so people from the outside know that when they're talking to this group or that person, they're speaking on behalf of all the actors at the airport. So everybody has to understand each other at the airport. They have to understand their common constraints, the challenges that they face, but they also have a common interest, and the common interest is that the airport functions well. And your interest here in the communities as well is that the airport functions well. But many airports are doing this with the stakeholders in isolation at the airports. They don't necessarily talk to each other. The airport operator does not always engage with the airlines, and they don't always engage with the ATC.
Bewonersanspreekpunt Schipol, which is Dutch for the citizen contact point or the information and complaint center for the residents of the Schipol region. The main task of our citizen contact point is the registration of complaints. Apart from registration of complaints, we more and more act as the information center for citizens of the Schipol region. So therefore we focus on two new ways of informing current and new inhabitants. The first is Vliegverkeer in Zicht, which is Dutch for online aircraft tracking. Well, you might say online aircraft tracking, that's not something new because that's already exists on the internet, but they are based on so-called ADS-B transponder data emitted by the aircraft itself. With our system, it's more correct and also more complete, because only 70% of all commercial aircraft emit ADS-B transponder data, and the others not. And also general aviation doesn't use this kind of systems. And we have some new features also, amongst other features with which you can see if an aircraft did really fly over your house or over your head. The second new information tool we have is especially for new inhabitants. And it presents flight and noise load information over the last 3 years per postal code area and region.
I remember a couple of years ago we wrote to various members who had not been attending, or at least their organisations had not been attending the forum terribly. And one wrote back quite aggressive letters to us, well, why would we? I mean, you always listen to the formal agencies and they don't always tell you the truth and so on. And you're very compliant people. And our answer was succinct as well, saying, well, that's precisely why we want you to be here. We want you to challenge us. Some of the community groups came to the forum with a bad view of Dublin Airport Authority and Fingal County Council. So there's a lot of aggression there of expressions of distrust. You're not giving us enough data, your data isn't sound, and so on. I think that has disappeared, at least from my perspective. I see it has disappeared as DAA, for instance, and Fingal County Council from the very beginning have been very generous about the information they've shared with the forum, been very open to engage in the debate around the issues to do with the airport, the problems there, and I think an amount of trust, a great deal of trust, has been built up between those agencies and the membership. And that's a good thing to be able to refer to. And I can only see that process improving as people become more engaged in the issues that are important for community and important for the development of the airport. Perhaps we haven't done as much as we would like to do. We'll get to that in the future. We've made great strides to begin with, and I can see the future as being a very proactive, developmental one.